All right. I want to say all praises, Kal Halal Yamla, Abanawa, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Harakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the sincere brethren, Akim out there across the four winds, the four corners of the globe, pushing the truth, the good news of Yahweh Shai, proclaiming salvation to the elect of Israel, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and proclaiming the downfall of Esau Edom, the so-called white man, and his wicked empire. So this video is going to be entitled, Don't Be Stuck on Black, Don't Be Stuck on Africa. Because the vast majority of, especially you so-called black people, you so-called Negroes, West Indians, and Haitians, you stuck on black. I'm black this, I'm black that. No, man, that's elementary. This truth is about being an Israelite. And Israel can come looking in as different nations. It depends on the spirit, and it really depends on the seed, which we know over time there has been miscegenation, race mixing, where Israel has been scattered amongst all nations. So it's not just because a guy looks black, he's an Israelite. You understand? And a lot of you jakes even hate on the northern kingdom, the so-called Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, or they too light-skinned, or their hair too straight. No, that doesn't matter. They're Israelites nonetheless, man. And that's elementary. Because even back then, in elementary school, I knew Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, so-called Negroes, we the same people, we the same vibe. You understand? So if you're still stuck on Puerto Ricans and Mexicans and Dominicans, they're not Israelites, you totally bugged out, man. You understand? You totally lost, man. So this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. And the dudes will be saying that they never even met a Puerto Rican. They never even met a Dominican. But they say, oh, they're not black. They're not Israelites. Just bugged out, man. This book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. Salakia, not that verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee. So Deuteronomy 28 goes into what? The curses that shall befall Israel throughout the span of our generations once we went off. And this is one of the main curses, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. So when you scattered amongst all people, what happens? You so-called race mix with them, meaning you have babies with each other. You understand? That's why the scriptures also goes into the tares and the wheats. Because you have certain people who look black, but they are actually of another nation. They might be an East Indian, they might be a so-called white man, so on and so forth. And you have people who look white or Chinese or whatever, but the Israelites. Key example, you have Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, well, he looks so-called half-breed or whatever, but his sons, man, because Blake Griffin's father is a so-called Haitian man, and Blake Griffin came out looking like his mother, who's a so-called white woman. And now Blake Griffin got with a white woman, and his son looked like a straight-up white boy, man. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. So what you going to say? Patrick Mahomes' children, Blake Griffin children are not Israelites because they don't look so-called black? You bugged out. They're Israelites. Because it's not about a race. It's not about a complexion thing, man. It's not about a skin color thing. It's about a lineage, a seed line, a heritage. And the heritage of the seed line and the race is determined by what? Your father. So it don't matter what you may look like. Is the seed line which carries forth the spirit. And if the person has a spirit of an Israelite, they're an Israelite. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So we scattered amongst all these different nations. And that's why you come across a Jake from a different nation that looks like another nation, but you're like, nah, this dude different. He act like a so-called black man. And even when I was a kid coming up, we used to say that. You might see a Chinese dude or a so-called white boy, so on and a so-called Arab. You're like, damn, you black, man. You one of us. You give him the N-word pass and stuff like that because the spirit bears witness. Let me get that real quick. Because a lot of you jakes who's going based on black, you including a lot of tears, man. Because there's so-called black people that are Edomites, that are East Indians, so on and so forth, that are not of the Israelite stock. So if you're going based, oh yeah, this guy black, he have an afro, or he dark skin, yeah, he must be an Israelite. You bugged out. This is the book of Romans chapter 8 verse 16. And even to add to that, they're straight up East Indians, straight up Sri Lankans, straight up Aborigines, so on, Samoans. They're dark as hell. Blue, black, dark. And another thing, we're not Africans. I'm going to get to that next. But you have different nations, man. Those different Hamitic nations. Dark skin as hell, but they're not Israelite. They are not Israelites, man. So you can't be stuck on that. And the people of like East India, so they're Elamites. But they dark skin as hell. They so-called black, but they're not us. So you see the confusion that starts? If you're going just based off of skin color, it causes all type of confusion. Because then you're like, well, East Indians are dark skins, so they one of us. You know what I mean? Indonesians are dark skins. You have a lot of dark skinned Filipinos. You have a lot of dark skinned Samoans. People from Papua New Guinea. They're dark skinned. They have afros. No, but they're Japhetic. They have another nation. So it's not about a skin color. It's not even about a hair texture. It's about a lineage, a seed line. And are you from the seed line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? So this is about Romans chapter 8, verse 16. And this is how you're going to know if a guy is a Jake and he look like a different nation. And this is also how you're going to know if a guy is a Te and he look like an Israelite. He look like a so-called black man, a so-called Puerto Rican, so on and so forth. Romans chapter 8, verse 16. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. So Israel, Jakes, so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we have a certain spirit, a certain aura about ourselves. Yeah, a lot of people have been contaminated from being among the heathen, but 9 times out of 10 through the Spirit you can tell. But ultimately, that's not our job. Our job is to push the word out there, and ultimately the angels and Yahushua and the angels, when they crack them clouds, man, when Yahushua crack them clouds, they're going to decipher exactly who's an Israelite, who's not an Israelite. So it's not our job to go into endless genealogies or this and that. You push the word out there, either they accept it or they don't accept it, and ultimately the elect is the elect. The Yahweh Hashem Yahushua going to do the separating between the wheat and the tares. But ultimately, in this time, you could tell through the Spirit a lot of the times. The Spirit itself bear witness, like, yeah, this guy's an Israelite, or nah, this guy's a straight up Edomite. This guy's an Ishmaelite. Nah, this guy's an East Indian. So on and so forth. That's how we know brothers think about Bruce Lee is a Israelite because of the Spirit. And that's how we for sure know Bob Marley is an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. Because Bob Marley, a lot of you simple-minded niggas, you saying he's a so-called white man, because his father is a so-called white man. But ain't no way in hell Bob Marley is an Edomite. Bob Marley is 100% an Israelite and 100% more than likely from the tribe of Benjamin, man. That guy, that man, like, that's our Benjamin right there, man. Bob Marley, man. Ravening as a wolf. And that's Bob Marley's evidence of what? The Spirit bears witness. Because he fits right with the prophecy of Benjamin raving like a wolf, chanting on Babylon, singing out against the oppression of Jake. So Bob Marley is 100% a Israelite, but his father is a straight up looking so-called white man. But no, his father had to be in a Jake. I think he was so-called Irish, which we know there's a lot of Jake amongst Irish, the black Irish, a lot of Jake amongst the Italians. Certain different nations, we know there's a lot of Jakes amongst them. So it's not about how a person looks, man. It's about the Spirit. It's about ultimately the lineage. So that's why we're not stuck on how dark skin or how light skin a person is. Because a lot of you Jakes still on that. Or you too light skin, or you man. It's about are they Israelite or not, and that's that. James chapter 1 verse 1. James is servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So Jake was scattered abroad through the curses. You know what I mean? Jake was scattered abroad, and that's telltale prophecy right there. You understand? I think that's also in Acts. And this ain't something recent. This goes back ages, the scattering of Israelites. Goes back ages. Goes back ages, man. Is where I think it's Acts, the 2nd chapter, where the Israelites from different nations, came. This is the book of Acts chapter 2. Acts chapter 2, verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem devout men. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. There you have it. And I'm sure all of them was not looking like a straight up prototypical Israelite because of miscegenation. Jake go to these different nations and they get with the woman. They go to the land of Moab, they get with the Moabite woman. They go to the land of Elam, they get with the Elamite woman, so on and so forth. So they was not all looking like straight up prototypical so-called black men. Some of them had different distinct features, man, of other nations because of the miscegenation. And that carries to this day. You have Jakes looking like straight up Edomites, like I said, Blake Griffin's son, Patrick Mahomes' son. You understand? And you have Edomites looking like straight up Jakes, man. You understand? You have Edomites looking like straight up Jakes. And you have Hamites trying to pass off to be Jake, like this guy Barack Obama. A lot of you guys think this guy is a Jake, but he's a Hamite. He's from Kenya. Because them Kenyans, for the most part, are Hamitic peoples. That's another thing. The so-called Africans, indigenous Africans, the people of the lineage of Ham, they're not the same as the so-called black man here in America, in the West Indies, and the so-called Haitians. Well, I could say the so-called black man in North, South, and Central America. The so-called black men of the slave trade, the indigenous Africans, which are people like Sudan, Kenyans, Ethiopians, a lot of the South Africans, so on and so forth. The indigenous African people, and they'll tell you the different indigenous African tribes that a lot of them were selling jigs into slavery to the Europeans. We're not the same people. I think Joel, the 3rd chapter goes into that. And also the Bible dictionary goes into that. Brothers used to bring that out all the time. You understand? That the children of Ham is not the same, not the Negroes. Ham is the father of the Africans, the Egyptians, the Ethiopians, the children of Put, which is Libya, Canaan. Canaan is a lot of the southern Africans. They are not the same as the Negroes, because the Negroes are from the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are Israelites. We not Africans. We are not Africans. So this is like the second part of this lesson. Basically, Jake is not, just because the so-called Africans have dark skin and a lot of them have so-called nappy hair, we are not the same. We have a different stock. And Africa is not the motherland for you simple-minded Negroes out there. It's particularly hitting on you Rastas and you Pan-African Jakes. Africa is not the motherland. This is the book of Galatians chapter 4, verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free, which is the mother of us all. So Jerusalem, which is in the land of Israel, is above Africa, outside of the land of Africa, what you would call the Middle Eastern region, is free and is the mother of us all. That's where creation started. Jerusalem, the land of Israel, not Africa, man. And we are not Africans, man. We fled into that land, fleeing Roman persecution, which the history, the book Babylon to Timbuktu goes into that. We fled Roman persecution, fleeing into Africa, particularly Western Africa. That's why you have the tribes like the Igbo, the Ashanti, the Yoruba. Those people are Israelites dwelling in the land of Ham, dwelling amongst the Africans, man. The majority of the people of Nigeria, Ghana, majority of them are Israelites dwelling amongst the Hamites. And a lot of them were sold into slavery. Let me go to Exodus. Exodus chapter is a plain difference, man. This is Exodus chapter 1, verse 19. And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because this goes back to when Israel was in slavery under the Egyptians. Egyptians are Africans, indigenous Africans. And Israel is of the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Two so-called dark-skinned race of people, so-called black people. But what? We different. Because like I said, being black does not make you an Israelite, man. Being so-called of color, of hue, of melanin does not make you an Israelite by the stretch of the imagination. Exodus chapter 1, verse 19. And the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian woman. So the so-called black woman, Jamaican, Trinidadian, Haitian woman, they have a total spirit from the indigenous African woman. The indigenous African women, they walk around naked, they put plates in their lips, they shave their head bald. The black woman ain't trying to shave her head bald. The black woman trying to put in weave, man, to get back her long hair, man, that she used to have, but the curses struck her and she can't grow that hair. So there's a whole different spirit between the so-called black woman here in the Western Hemisphere and the indigenous African over there amongst the people of Ham. Totally different. And you can look it up. Having plates in their lips, crazy earrings, Know what I mean? Elongated necks. Madness, man. Walking around naked. That's the indigenous African people, man. And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew woman, an indigenous African woman like the Ethiopian woman, which them big-headed Cushites, which a lot of them look good, but hey, they have a funny look to them too, man. Them Cushites, them Ethiopian women, them Eritrean women, them Somalian women, they a lot of them look good, but a lot of them look fucking deformed too, man. They're different from what? The so-called African American woman. You understand? The Sudanese woman, all them women are different from the so-called African American woman. The Kenyan, they're different, man. We not the same people, man. A lot of the Southern Africans, we not the same people. We different stock. They from the line of Ham, we from the line of Shem. And they black, but we black, but that don't make us the same, man. This is not a color thing. Don't be stuck on black. Don't be stuck on Africa. Because being black don't make you an Israelite, and Africa is not the homeland of the Israelites, and it's not the center of the universe. The center of creation is Jerusalem, Israel, and Israelites can look like any nations. We know prototypically an Israelite looks like a so-called black Puerto Rican, Mexican, so on and so forth, but bear in mind that there's been Israelites scattered abroad through the generations, through millenniums, thousands of years. Exodus chapter 1, verse 19, for they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. Because Pharaoh wanted the midwives to basically kill the males of the Hebrews, the Israelites. But the Israelite woman, nah, they were lively, man. They delivered and went their way, man, before the male child could be casted away to be put to death. But yeah, man, the so-called black woman, so-called black man, black woman here on this side is a totally different spirit from those indigenous Africans. And it's plain to see. Even a lot of the West Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, they have a total different spirit from the people of like Ethiopia, the people of Kenya, the people of Sudan, the Pygmies, so on and so forth, man. We have a totally different spirit. But we are so-called black. A lot of us have so-called nappy hair. But it's different, man. It's about lineage. It's about bloodline. Where you come from. It's not about how you look. It's about Jacob, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Hey, so with that, hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Don't be stuck on black. Don't be stuck on Africa. I mean, because that's elementary right there, man. Especially if you learning about this truth, that's elementary. That, hey, all so-called Israelites ain't gonna be dark-skinned, man. And Africa is not the motherland. Africa is basically a fourth world continent right now, man. You do a place that you don't want to be, and it ain't no hope for Africa, man. Hey, so with that, I want to say all praises be to Abanawa Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai Bahasham Harakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and shalom to the elect. Kwame Ashala.